Welcome to another edition of the Dublin Coffman Marching Band Network. I am here with graduate Alan Yee, or shall I say Dr. Alan Yee. He is a 2013 graduate of Coffman High School. He went on to Ohio State, where he's been through a few degrees for him to be into his residency as a general surgeon. How are you, Alan?
I'm doing great today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for meeting with me. You are probably one of the hardest interviews that I've gotten to try to get going so far. You are a busy person, and that's going to be something that I want to talk to you about, to learn about what it is. You have your doctorate, and now you are in your position where you're working with others. And so I'm going to be really interested to talk about this busy life that you're leading right now that's going to lead to great things. But before we get into it, can you talk us through, you graduated in 2013, and you went to Ohio State, and you got your degree in biochemistry, and you minored in physics. Can you tell us about that journey once you left Coffman?
Yeah, so I graduated with the idea that I would be pre-med, I would go to medical school, I wanted to be a doctor, and everybody always asks, like, what's the best major to do for medical school? And biochemistry comes up pretty often. There's like, oh, there's all the chemistry you need to know, all the biology. It just so happened I was a big nerd, and I did enjoy chemistry, and so that's why I picked it. I think the other piece of advice we always get is pick something you enjoy, pick something you would want to learn more about. And that was true about biochemistry. So that's why I did that. And then it turned out I actually really, really liked physics. So partway through undergrad was when I tacked on the minor in physics. I was kind of calculating out how many more credits I would need. And I figured, let's just do it. It should be all right.
So you got into this physics part of it. Did you need to do that? And why would you, if you didn't need to do that, why did you jump in and minor in physics on top of a strenuous degree program?
Right. I absolutely did not need to minor in physics. In fact, I got a lot of pushback from my mentors because, they were worried about me overloading my schedule and whatnot. But I think, after a couple of years, I think I realized I would have liked majoring in physics more than in biochemistry. And it was a little later, so it didn't really make sense to straight up change majors and drop biochemistry and major in physics. And I was interested enough in it that I knew I would spend enough time and make it work. So I just kind of went for it from there.
I remember we've gotten to catch up a few times since you've graduated in 2013, and I remember there was a time in your life you had graduated from OSU or about to graduate from OSU, and you came into this where you were applying for different medical schools, and so talk everyone through what that is like. You get a 4-year degree or whatever, you get your bachelor's degree,
right.
And then there's this next process. Can you describe what that process is like?
Yeah, applying to medical school is it almost feels like there's a pathway because everyone takes the medical college admission test. So everybody has to take this test called the MCAT, and everybody freaks out about it. Everyone has to have the prerequisites in order to apply for medical schools: biochemistry, biology, physics, math, this, that, and the other. And then you put your application together, send it out, and you get ready for interviews. That process is pretty much the same for everybody. What tends to vary is some people actually graduate from undergrad and take a few years off to either get another degree like a master's or do a baccalaureate, post-baccalaureate program, or do research projects. Or some people even find another career that they've done before they decide, actually, I think I want to go to medical school. So I think it used to be people would go straight through undergrad and then apply to medical school. Which is what I did, but more common now is people will really consider, do I really want to go to medical school? Should I, try out different fields before I decide to apply to medical school? Or do I need to, gain a little bit more life experience and experience in a specific field I'm interested in before they go applying for medical school?
So how long you got into Ohio State's medical school, and you have now received your PhD. What would technically doctorate of medicine, if I'm not mistaken?
Right. Correct? Yeah.
How long was that process, and what was that process like?
Right. Medical school is generally 4 years. There are some instances where people can do a 3-year program with a special track in primary care. So kind of like your family med or primary care doctor visits, they would go through 3 years of medical school and then residency with that track in mind. But most people have a 4-year medical school that they end up going to. And some people will take a year off in between to do research. Some people even do a PhD during their medical training, but the vast majority will get their medical degree in 4 years. The way it's set up is the first couple years or first year and a half is generally a lot of classroom work, a lot of basic science. You go through the biology and the physiology and anatomy and pathology. And then the last 2 years is where you're kind of part of the medical team in the hospital or in the clinic. You're kind of like you're the student doctor that you see patients, you interview them, you decide what tests should be done, and the resident or the attending doctor is guiding you through the path of how to work up a particular problem and how to think through different issues.
So now you graduate with your doctorate of medicine, and so now you begin the process again of learning. And and so talk us through. You are in a stage right now of your career, if I'm not mistaken, where you are still working with older doctors, people with lots of experience. How long now is the journey before you're able to do things on your own in the profession?
Right. So now I'm in residency training, and so in order to be board certified and independently practice medicine, you need to go through a residency program after graduating medical school. So the big theme, becoming a doctor is you never stop learning. You go through high school, undergrad, medical school. Some people get a master's, then you graduate medical school, and now you're in residency, and you're still considered in training. We call it postgraduate year training, 1. So I'm an intern. I'm a first year graduate, and essentially I can do quite a few things independently, but I have second, third year, fourth year, fifth year residents who are my chief resident, and they're who I go to with my plans for the day, and I report my findings, and we decide together what the plan should be. And then there's an attending doctor who has gone through residency, is board certified, who is checking off on the final plan, essentially. That training can vary depending on the specialty one chooses. So it can usually between 3 and 5 or 6 years. Some academic programs will include a couple years of research as well. So, some general surgery training programs will be as long as 7 years or more.
You are on a long journey, but I know it's going to be worthwhile. So in talk us through, in making this video for us and having this discussion, it's been hard to find the time, and tell us, what is your daily life like, or maybe more, what's your weekly life like? Because it seems as if you're going through a pretty intensive program right now.
Yeah. Residency training anywhere is pretty intensive. In fact, the governing body of residency education actually has put a cap on how many hours one can work a week, and that's 80 hours a week, averaged over 4 weeks. People still work 24-hour shifts in this field, and so you're limited to working 24 hours clinically, which means taking care of patients. And then you can finish up your paperwork for 4 hours after that, but you cannot make any medical decisions in that 4-hour period after a 24-hour shift. And then you have to have 12 hours off between your next shift back on. And that's all for patient safety, really, and to make sure the residents are taking care of themselves. So on a weekly basis, most weeks I work Monday to Friday, at least. Most of my days are 12, 13-hour shifts, essentially. I usually get in around between 5 and 6 a.m., and I'm there until 5 or 6 p.m. And then on the weekends, I typically alternate when I'm on and off. And this can be a little institution specific. Some places everybody works 6 days a week and gets 1 day off every week. At Ohio State, our general surgery program tends to have tries to get you 2 days off on one weekend, and then you work the 2 days the next weekend. So it's actually termed a golden weekend when you have Saturday and Sunday off. That is what I have this weekend. It's kind of a nice thing to have. You get 2 days off in a row.
Well, we are so fortunate for you to be able to spend some time with us. You are giving some of our students some amazing information about what it truly is like to go through this type of program. So thanks for being with us.
Yeah, it's truly my pleasure.
Now, take us back to high school for a minute. I want to take a look at your academic career. You were a busy person in high school. I remember, of course, being a member of the marching band, and you were the captain of the hockey team. You did a lot of extracurriculars, but you were also, very focused with your academics. What if someone is wanting to go into medicine? They're wanting to follow the path that you're on right now. What are classes that you think would be very important for them to do here at Dublin Coffman High School?
Yeah, I think paying attention to the classes you take in high school can be really important to setting up your undergrad career. Trying to get ahead in the STEM fields like biology and chemistry, as well as math, can occasionally knock out 1 or 2 credits once you start undergrad, and it really helps you with those prerequisites in the first couple years of undergrad. I really think repetition it helps with learning, and in order to do something good, you have to do it a lot. I think having taken, like the AP chemistry and AP bio in undergrad, and then taking those classes again in college, kind of guaranteed, 1, I did well in that class, and 2, it really solidified the learning. There's kind of a really nerdy joke about thermodynamics people always talk about in chemistry, is the first time you do it doesn't make any sense. The second time you do it, it makes sense, but you're not very good at it. And then the third time you do it, you don't really, it doesn't make sense anymore, but you've done it so many times, you know how to answer the problem. And so sometimes that's how it is. You just have to do it over and over so many times that, you kind of understand the material and you know it in and out. So yeah, those are definitely important. The one thing I kind of wish I had spent more time on is a writing course. Surprisingly, you will be writing your personal statements and communicating with people via writing throughout, the entirety of your medical career. That, being an effective communicator via writing is something that I kind of wish I spent more time with in high school. It's a lot of work, but it's all setup work for later down the road.
Talking about your academic career, and then also all the extracurricular things that you did. Band is what we call co-curricular. So we had 5th period band and after school band, right. But then you were also, like I said, the captain of the hockey team in your senior year. Talk us through your 4-year journey with the band. You have a unique path with the band. And kind of share with everyone your journey from your freshman year to your senior year.
Yeah, sure. So freshman year, I had played for the Ohio's AAA hockey team, and so we were traveling all over the state and a little bit of the Midwest, and it was just too busy. I didn't have enough time to actually physically go to band practice. So I had to leave the band program the first year, which was actually really sad because I went to band camp and everything and made all these great friends, and I knew I enjoyed it so much that, balancing, what I wanted to do with hockey, what I wanted to do with band. I knew I wanted to come back to the band, and, Coffman's got a great hockey team as far as I know. And so, I wanted to play, I wanted to do both. And I knew that. And so I went back and I did band the second year. I tried out for the hockey team and got in. And then it was always this constant struggle of, bands kind of during the off season of hockey. I'm trying to, lift and go get ice time and whatnot. So it really was a commitment and difficult to balance both things. But I think, I think it's just judging kind of what's important, what I wanted to do, and just making the call, every year, like, here's how much time I'm going to spend here, here's how much time I'm going to spend there, and I'm just going to find a way to make it work out. Actually, I talked to a couple students who were doing both band and hockey, and they're like, they reached out and they were asking, how did you do it? And I was kind of telling them, you just got to put a lot of work into it and make sure you're having fun doing all those things at once.
I remember sending a couple students your way. If I think that's what you're
Yeah.
referencing over the years.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that you could do it, and if you can do it, it was neat for you to share with others how to do it. But getting into the leadership aspect of our program and having it pay off for you, can you share with us? You just kind of talked through something that I think is really important, and that is kind of time management. And you have your academic side, but you also have the kid side of wanting experiences in high school. How did you feel as you graduated through Coffman High School, getting into your bachelor's degree? What kind of leadership traits, leadership experiences helped you once you got into college, and maybe even how it's helping you now?
Yeah, leadership wise, I actually bring this up in my interviews for residency, because it really was the way the marching band is set up did really did impact kind of my perspective on how to train for things. So as a freshman, I knew nothing going into the marching band. Down to I was wearing the hat from the uniform. I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to do that. And so the juniors and seniors are telling you everything that you are supposed to be doing, every little thing, to the marching technique, to how you play your instrument, to what a block shaped note sounds like. And they teach you every little thing because as the head band director, you kind of have the global picture, but in order for every individual to kind of get up to speed on either the technique or a specific move within their performance, it comes down to having the juniors and seniors, and sometimes even the sophomores who are ready for it to train the freshmen. And then as a freshman, you pick up on every little thing that's being told to you as fast as you can. So not everything gets picked up the first time around, of course, but the more you do it and the longer you do it, by the time you get to being a junior and a senior yourself, all these things, how it's been done. And then you teach those to the subsequent, freshmen who are coming into the program. That's how undergrad kind of went. I always looked for, juniors or seniors who were also pre-med and took the same classes I took and asked them for advice. And then in med school, I did the same thing. I was asking the third years and fourth years, how did you pick your specialty? What do you like about it? How do I do well in cardiopulmonary medicine? I don't know what I'm doing in this block. How did you do it? So always seeking that advice from the people who are a couple steps ahead of you in their career was something that I picked up. And now that I'm an intern, I'm a freshman again. I don't know anything. We go through this 4-year medical degree, but there's so much that we don't understand yet or don't know how to do that. And those are the things that our 3rd, 4th, and 5th year residents are showing us how to do. So that sort of setup through marching band has somehow been consistent through the past 10 years of my life.
Now, question that I like to ask some of our graduates. You've been through Coffman High School, and you remember the good days, and you remember the days that were hard. And right now, you are going through a period of your life that's difficult, and it's rigorous. It's you're putting in a lot of hours. But looking back at that same type of mentality when you were a kid, if the older Alan Yee got to speak to the younger Alan Yee about how things are worth it and about the journey, the idea of delayed gratification is something that I think young adults have a hard time with, understanding that putting in your hours, even though years and years and years from now, it'll pay off. What type of advice would you give your younger self to stick with it?
Yeah. Believe it or not, I am actually more of an instant gratification kind of person, which is a little discongruent with a career in medicine. We do talk about you need to really buy into the delayed gratification, but I think what makes it for me is through the training process, finding those things that you can do every day to learn something new or get better at something, or look at something you've done incorrectly and can do differently. I think like every day in band was hard. I feel like every day was like, I'm doing something wrong. And, it kind of feels like that still to this day. But I think once I kind of embraced that every day you're going to struggle with something, you're going to hopefully fix it and get better from it, or at least, set yourself up to, fix it the next day. I think that's what kind of lends to being driven on a day-to-day basis. And so there is some instant gratification involved in that. You're always looking at kind of these little smaller goals, the smaller pieces that build up to the bigger goal that you're getting at. And so, when I go home from work, I have a to-do list with a billion check boxes on it, and they're all checked off, and that's instant gratification. But then I get home and I got to read for the case that's coming up tomorrow. And so that's kind of the I think we used to say, like, you got to go to the woodshed and you got to shed this out, right?
Yeah.
You had to go practice. There's always setup work to be done to make the next day, to set yourself up for success for the next day.
Well, it brings me great joy to thank Dr. Alan Yee to have joined us today. I know you're at the beginning of your journey, and even though 2013 seems like a long time away, I just can't wait to hear and check in with you of all the great things that you accomplish. And I just want to thank you for sharing some time with us to help our students and our band family understand what the journey is like in becoming a doctor of medicine. Thank you so much, Alan.
Yeah, it's really been my pleasure today. Thank you.